Welcome back to For the Love of Men podcast. My name is Courtney Shand, and I am hosting with my dear friend, Brianna Mosier.
Hello.
The one and only. Bri, for my new friends, tell them real quick who you are, why you're awesome, why we hang out all the time, and what we talk about.
Wow, that's a very loaded question.
Right? No pressure.
Why do we hang out all the time? Because we have the exact same human design, the
We just
exact
found that
same
out.
horoscope. Your birthday is my parents' anniversary.
Lots of similarities.
But that is not why we're here.
But that's not even the best of them.
That's not even the best of them. What I do in the world is I work with mostly female entrepreneurs, really driven, ambitious women, helping them scale their businesses and also attract in empowered masculine partners and create really healthy relationships. So that's the work that I do in the world. Through a lot of that modality is through pleasure and intimacy and coming home to the body. There's so much power in that. So a lot of my work is around somatic, is very somatically focused. And Courtney, your work and my work are like sisters.
Like us.
For real.
Sisters from different families.
Yes.
Yes,
So
exactly.
what do you do?
Yeah. So I am a relationship mentor. I really specialize in helping women release the generational trauma that holds us into certain dynamics relationally that keeps us from fulfilling our fullest expression and also creating the healthy polarized dynamic that we are advocating for. I do that a lot through body work and somatic training as well, through the lens of health and nutrition as well as relationships and kind of how those two blend. So I love getting to work in that space and getting to support women in that way. And it just parallels, like you said, they're very parallel tracks that support each other in a lot of ways.
100%.
So, love it.
And that's why we're the dream team. See you next week. Just kidding. What are we going to tell the people today?
Ooh, so I'm so excited about this. We polled our TikTok family.
Yes.
Close to 10,000 people. Kind of in that upper
8,000?
About 8,000. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're about 8,000 now. We asked for men to leave us comments of what naturally impresses them or what draws them to women. We were just curious because they loved the information we gave about, as empowered feminine energy women, what we display that would be a green flag. Hey, I am ready and available for a good, healthy relationship. Men, these are the things to look for in me that I would be displaying if I were ready and available.
Yes.
So that was kind of the baseline for this, and they blew us away.
Yeah.
Men, you guys did not disappoint. The contribution that you made to this work and this conversation was so profound and so helpful, and so we wanted to share some of that. We took we'll probably do the top 10. We'll see how far we get.
Sure.
There were quite a few common themes, so we wanted to share that information with you guys.
Yeah.
As a way of creating this kind of new third option of not going backwards in relationships, but both of us contributing in a way that moves us forward.
And when you say backwards, you mean we're moving away from the narrative that men completely lead the relationship and women are submissive. And we're also not moving toward the narrative of women being in more power than men. For Courtney and I, the mission is really equality in relationships and how both men and women can get their needs met and feel seen and heard and respected and all that juicy stuff.
For being authentically them.
Yes, 100%. Yeah,
So
there's
no power play or no strategies, just an option where we're both contributing as the best version of myself, and I bring that, you bring that, and we create something that is totally unique and moves forward.
And honors our individuality and our masculine, feminine cores and tendencies.
Perfect.
The
Perfectly
most
said.
Important work on the planet.
Yes.
Why? Because it creates functional families. And functional families create functional children who grow up to be functional, healthy, empowered adults.
Yeah, that is world changing. I mean, you want to talk about the next generation, the next 100 years, the next 2-3 generations worth of creators, entrepreneurs, policymakers, families, really.
Yes.
I mean, partnerships. This is it. So we feel very, very honored to do this work and very, what's the word?
Purposeful.
Called. Yeah.
100%.
Our unique calling in the world. So, Great little segue.
If this is your first episode, there you go. There's the long and short of the ethos of the podcast.
This is us.
So let's jump into it. We surveyed all these men. We got, I think last I checked, it was like under 300 comments. We've replied to a few.
Yeah.
But we got a big response, and you can go look at the raw data if you want to
Please
just
do.
kind of see how men have contributed. But Courtney compiled this giant list that blew me away. She's a great note keeper, tracker. And we want to share with you as many as we can. Maybe we'll do a part 2 if we need to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we also really want to share with the men listening, if this is something that you want to see brought out more in your woman, what you can do to provide and create a space in order for her to show that to you. So that'll make more sense when we give you some of these qualities. But yeah, there'll be an invitation and an ask for both people to lean into.
Yeah. Which is powerful because it's,
Yeah.
I think what we were kind of deciding in our own growth process is it's not a strategy and it's not about shape shifting to bring out this quality in the other person. It really is about becoming more of that, integrating more of that in myself, and what that would require of me. If I need more of that from you, there's a give and a take. That's what creates healthy interdependence, is the give and take, so that it's not just either men are dominant or women are dominant, or we're kind of vying for that. We want to create something that's a healthy partnership for both people to contribute to.
And still polarized.
And polarized.
Okay, hit them with the number one most common thing that came up in the comments from these men when we asked them, what impresses you about a woman?
Yeah, this one was really fun. Respect. R-E-S-P-C-T.
Yeah, I think that didn't surprise me at all.
No.
Knowing what we know.
No. But what is really interesting is we looked up what respect means in the dictionary, because Alison Armstrong always says, if you want to know what a man means by what he says, look in the dictionary, because men wrote the dictionary. So,
Sorry, it just makes me laugh every time. It's kind of, it's not, we love men, but I'm a little
It's
sad
interesting.
that you created the whole dictionary and the whole medical system and forgot about us. But that's okay. We're shifting it.
yeah.
Shifting
This conversation is very shifting in that way. It just is interesting because language is so important in how we communicate. And that was what was really interesting, is what men, our interpretation, just having worked with men and done some work on ourselves to interpret men's actions and beliefs and behaviors differently. Respect for men looks very different. And men, by the way, we're going to create a little stitch option for you, because we would love to hear more about this.
Yeah.
I did engage with a few of the comments of what does that look like for you, and what really landed for me was being able to release control of the situation. If you're going to ask him to do something, give him full authority to complete the task for you. And this is something we talk about a lot of times women struggle with, is kind of that you can tell them how or you can tell them what you need, but
Not both.
Not both. You got to kind of pick one or the other, and that takes some vulnerability on her part. But respect also looks like having an awareness of, or a honoring of, the other person's views and background and contributions, and being appreciative for them as a person is the vibe that I got from the men who gave me more feedback. Anything you want to add to that?
I think that's really well said. This deep admiration, right? And
Yes.
valuing their opinions and thoughts and ideas. Yeah, that feels quite clear. So we will put a TikTok out so you can stitch it, because we would love to know in context what it looks like for you to feel like respect is coming from that woman. Yeah. And what experiences you've had with really great women.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so helpful when men are, and again, this was so, I want all the women to go and just read the comments, because it's like, men obviously are wanting to contribute this information. And again, it's not so that men can win over women. It's so that we can win together.
Yeah.
And in order to create something new, it's very helpful for us to be able to explain it to women in context, because the comments when we stitched this for women were so context specific.
Yeah.
That's the really funny thing. Men were able to give like these words, these words, these words. And
Linear.
women were like this one context and this other context. And so it was like very different data. You couldn't compare them one to another. So context is very helpful. That's how women, I think, implement some of these things and can kind of catch themselves and bring that awareness of like, oh, this is what he means by respect. This is something that I can either facilitate or I can ask for something in return.
Yeah. Oh, and you know what? We should also deliver if a man is wanting to bring respect out of that woman, which is probably said the wrong way, but what's a better way to say that? If you're wanting to see more respect from a woman, how do you create an environment that facilitates that?
Yeah.
Right? So Court and I were chatting before the show, and like, what would we need in order to really deeply admire and trust our man's opinion or leadership or decision or giving him this task for us to really lean back? It's, for me personally, I would need to know that my contributions were being accounted for too, that I had a voice, that it mattered how I felt about it, how it would impact me. Otherwise, it feels very like, just respect me and trust my decisions point blank. And that feels very unequal and actually feels almost like disrespectful to the feminine, right? So there has to be space for me to share how this decision would feel for me, how it would impact me, what it brings up in me, what suggestions I might have, in order for me to really lean back and trust that you're gonna, whatever decision that might be. By the way, it doesn't mean that men get to make all these decisions.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, very fair. Yeah, I think in speaking to a man that I respect in the last week or so, really hearing that the feminine contribution to decision making is so profound. And I am always blown away when men say that like, of course, they want our feedback and opinion. And I think the breakdown happens when women don't know how to provide that feedback in a way that doesn't feel like it's undermining the plan and is perceived as disrespect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So both of us are kind of vying for, hey, I want to feel respected too, and we may not understand what that means for the other person.
For women, I think we use the language heard. I want to feel heard.
That's a great point.
And men feel like, I want to be respected. What's so interesting about these comments is you could see the stark difference in language.
Right.
That men were saying respect and women were saying, I want to feel heard. I think they're kind of two sides of the same coin, very similar. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what feedback I got from respect is either trusting that I'm going to make a decision that does take you into account.
Yeah.
And I will say that in learning this too, that's not how I was taught to perceive men's behavior, was that I did not realize how much they were taking me into account.
EMs.
Empowered men, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Integrated, healthy men are taking multiple things into account, and it took some development and maturity for me to understand just how many things they were taking into account.
Right. So if you're, wanting to facilitate an environment where you feel more respected, I would ask your woman verbatim what her desires are, what she might be feeling, what her thoughts might be on it. And she will feel heard in that sense, and it will be easier for her to trust that decision making. But also the aspect of respect is deep admiration. And I think it's so simple, right? We know what feeds the masculine core of anyone is admiration and praise. So it's like this reverence for their character.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
that
quite
lands.
easy. If you're dating someone, married to someone, seeing someone, you obviously have admiration for them because you've chosen to be with them, I hope, if it's a healthy dynamic. So voicing those things as women is just so powerful, and as men, of course, it goes both ways. But can you share what it is that you admire about him? What I'm understanding from men is that also conveys an attitude of, I respect you. Because it is. It's saying, I respect you as a human being. Yeah.
I love that. Great distinction. So good. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, let's move on to number 2.
Okay. Number 2 came in as a tie. A tie between loyalty and kindness.
Oh, what a great combo.
Right? Yeah.
These men really nailed it.
They seriously,
Wow.
yeah.
I didn't realize they were tied.
Yep, they both came in at number 2 is loyalty and kindness. And I, again, offer men, share more about what loyalty looks and feels like. We did have one comment that was really a great example. You want to share about it?
He stitched it.
Yeah, we love stitches.
We
They're so fun.
love a stitch. We send them to each other, all
Yeah.
giddy and excited when you guys stitch our videos.
Yeah.
He stitched it basically just sharing that he was out, I think, at a bar in a public space with his partner, and a man hit on his partner, and she almost seemed like turned off and distasteful by this other man trying to hit on her, and kind of came closer to her man and clenched onto his arm, and that made him feel like, oh, she's really loyal. She's not looking at anybody else in this room but me. So I thought that was a really great example of loyalty.
Yeah. Some other examples that came up were around kind of the verbiage of like claiming him, like being proud to be with him and showing, like exuding that pride to, like, this is my man and I'm really proud to be out with him right now. Having your back in public and private spaces, not speaking about your partner in a way that undermines them, but really upholding their work in the world and their character in all areas, and being I think that was kind of what they did parse out about loyalty, was that it is a pride to be with this person and kind of a public display of that in some way, whether it's, you know, holding his arm when another man was approaching, or making it very known that this is someone that I'm actively choosing and that I am proud of.
I'm with this person. Yeah, I want to be on their arm. Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
So for men to create an environment where their woman is showing up loyal, displaying loyalty, what's the ask for men?
Yeah, I would say that this, when I have experienced strong pulls just to naturally, like this will naturally be coming out of me, is when I do feel like you are equally invested in me and loyal. So it's not that you have to, you know, it's not a tit for tat kind of thing, but it's a collaborative energy of, I naturally want to bolster my partner when I feel his loyalty come to me. So anything you want to add to that? Any specific examples?
It's just so natural. I especially with the feminine, there, it might even be from ancestral wounding, but there's this pull of, I want to be in a container with this man. I don't like using the language of I want to be chosen, because that feels deeply wounded, but if this woman is with you, she's probably wanting to move toward a container. Maybe not, but it was my experience that there comes a point where I would feel like, antsy, where's the container? Are you claiming me? And if there's not his claim, right? If he's not saying, let's be exclusive or be my girlfriend or be in a relationship or whatever it might be, I felt myself going, how much can I invest? How much, not loyalties in I would go entertain other people, but like, how much can I invest into this relationship? Versus when he's creating safety and he's creating a container and claiming me, I'm there to hold the arm, to hold the hand, to, claim you as my man. I mean, I wouldn't be with anybody that I was afraid to claim in the first place, right? I would be proud to be with that man anyway. So I'm just saying what you said in different words. It's mutual contribution and effort toward loyalty together.
Yeah, I love that. Not in a calculated, how much do I want to give him, but in a, how much, where will it go? Like if there's not a container and I keep pouring my heart and soul into this, is it going to dissipate? Like, is it, not that, and I guess that's really interesting that you said it in those words, because we want to know that it's going to be held. And men do too. 100%. And that's what they're saying. Like that was a real impressive quality for women to display. Loyalty. Another thing that came up with this one is not running away when things get difficult, or when not challenging his viewpoint on everything. That was part of the respect and loyalty too, is kind of like to be a team, to kind of like join forces and to understand where they're coming from, or be committed to understanding where they're coming from, so that you can kind of create like a joint, a united.
Yeah, that's just healthy communication 101, right? Even, Courtney to I, if Courtney shares her opinion, I'm going to seriously consider it before I start going, where's the flaw in her opinion in this, right? I would be like, Courtney is somebody that I love and respect. Let me understand how she's thinking the way that she's thinking, because I already innately love and respect her. She's already built credibility and rapport with me in that way, so it's easier. And I think the same thing happens between men and women, probably in both directions, but we're just speaking from the perspective of what impresses men.
Yeah, just sharing kind of what they said.
Yeah.
Anything else with loyalty?
Kindness. Let's move on.
Yeah, kindness.
Kindness.
So kindness was one that pretty straightforward. There weren't many iterations of kindness. It was kind of like a unilateral decision or definition, like kindness. And I would be interested to see what the dictionary says about kindness, because
Yeah, Google it.
yeah,
Let's see. Kindness.
the quality of being friendly, generous, and considerate. So pretty straightforward. I guess we can all agree on that one. That one came up over and over, and it was funny because they would come up in this like triad of like loyalty, respect, and kindness, which is really telling. What would a man have to do if he were going to facilitate kindness more often? Is there anything that you've noticed in your experience that makes it just effortless for you to be kinder? Obviously, this is not saying that you don't have to be responsible for your gestures and kindness on your own, but
yeah, I mean, just intuitively, I think there is some level of what is nature of the person. You know, what is like factory built into that person. Some people are just generally very, very kind, and some people have to develop that skill over their lifetime. So I would be, if I were a man, I would be looking for those signs of kindness early on. To facilitate kindness, at this moment, what's coming to me is more like generosity. To be kinder to him, to inspire generosity from her, it would be you also leaning in with mutual effort, right? When he's leaning in emotionally or providing emotional support, you know, planning dates, making reach outs, being consistent, my tank, I feel so safe and my tank gets so full if there's love and appreciation going that I'm naturally inspired to give even more. And I'm already very generous in relationship, but it can fill my tank so much that it's just like overflow. What can I do to make you happy, to see you excited, to be even kinder? When I heard the word kindness, the first thing I just kind of feel like this is almost innate. I do think people can develop kindness, but the person is just generally kind, or that's like a do not even pass go for me. I wouldn't go on the date if the person wasn't kind. Sorry to answer that question in such a roundabout way.
no, I honestly hadn't really thought about what I asked you the question, and I'm having to think about it too.
She's
the
like,
other word that
"You
came up
take
with
this."
this.
I don't know what to say.
Right?
Here, take it. We didn't talk about this one, but why don't you flop on the podcast? Just kidding. Okay, sorry. Go on.
The other word that came up, kind of in the same vein of kindness, is sweetness. So just like a softness to be around,
Softness.
A sweet disposition. That came up often, kind of synonymously from what I was reading. So, man, if I got that wrong, please correct me. But that is kind of how I lumped those together: kindness and sweetness.
Which naturally comes out when a woman is feeling safe, seen, and heard.
Right. When she's in her feminine energy and openness was another one that came up really often, not in our top 10, but being open and open-hearted, I think is kind of the underpinnings of being kind.
Yeah, and we will tell you, I will tell you till I'm blue in the face, if you can help her feel seen and heard and safe, you are going to get the honey of feminine energy. It's just the way that it works. It's been true in my experience and all my clients that I work with, who are mostly women. Although now I am starting to work with men, which is really fun. But
it's fun.
You will get this softer, open, sweeter, relaxed feminine energy when you're creating safety emotionally and physically. We have a whole episode on creating safety because it's so important. So you can, I don't know, what number is it?
There's a
it's
couple.
Recent. It's in the 20s.
19, 23. There's a couple of them.
Yeah, we did a whole episode for men on how to create safety pre-commitment for women.
I think that one's 23.
Which is really juicy. But when the safety is there emotionally, physically, there's a container. When she feels seen for how she bees in the world, and when she feels heard by her with her opinions, and you're hearing her desires and being present with her, that's the recipe for bringing out the best in the woman that you're with.
I would say on the flip side of that, what naturally will prevent kindness from flowing is fear. Fear is typically the core emotion we think of would be like anger or hostility, but I find more often than not with my clients and myself too, that underneath that is a fear of being powerless or exploited or overextended. Those things will keep women from naturally exuding kindness too. So if she's generally a kind person and having a, grouchy day, it happens. It happens to me too.
Same.
And I'm just thinking back over, the last couple of months for myself, the times when I wasn't naturally feeling kind, it was because there was something that wasn't hitting, there wasn't like being met for me. That's my responsibility by all means, but that's something to be aware of too.
Yeah, the word I'm looking for with kindness is general disposition. I feel like people just, their general disposition is either kindness or not. And maybe that's a pretty, maybe that's too pigeonholed of an answer. I don't know. But if you're listening and you have feedback, let us know. DM us on TikTok. Tell us. We want to know.
One last thought on that is what you were saying is there are just the core 5 personality traits of openness, agreeableness.
The big 5.
I
should know. I have a degree in psychology.
But I would say openness and agreeableness are probably the combination where those intersect is probably the display of kindness. So finding someone that is on that spectrum towards those ends. Conscientiousness is one of them. 3 out of 5, Court. You're doing great. Keep going.
They'll come to us.
Midway through the podcast, I'll be like,
they were the other 2. Yeah.
Cool.
Just another school of thought way of thinking about personality. That's all that is.
Yeah.
All right. What is the next one? Number 4?
Yeah, go for it.
Empathy and a word that Courtney wrote that I can't read.
Oh no, sorry. Honesty. Honesty was number 3. Yeah, this is over here in front of you, and I wrote it in sloppy handwriting.
Sorry, I gave it away. It's actually honesty.
Honesty. Honesty came up a lot. Honesty and trust were 2. I made them separate categories because they were both stated so obviously. And so I think there might be some distinction of her trusting you versus her being able to be honest. And then there was also a reliable trustworthiness. So that I consider those 3 separate things. Just to clarify how I calculated this to the best of my ability. But honesty also came up a lot with being able to ask for what she needs clearly without criticism.
That comes up for me so much when I work with my clients and their partners in a session. The words that men tend to use are, I feel like she's lying to me when something is wrong, and she says it's not. And from a woman's perspective, I've been in that place where I've said,
it's fine.
Yeah, because thank you for narrating that. Because personally, I wasn't ready to share. I was still figuring out how I felt. So in my head, I wasn't being dishonest. I was like, I need to sit with this and like kind of just piece it out before I just give you this raw, I'm feeling black. Because what if I don't mean it, right? What if I'm projecting onto you? So me sitting with it. But the experience that men were receiving from a lot of women is she's not being honest. I know something's wrong. So I think we have to find, the invitation for women is to find different language. Like maybe we say, I do have a situation on my mind and you're perceptive and tuned into me to notice, and I just need to sit with it a bit more before I bring it up, because I don't want to say something I actually don't stand behind.
Ooh, I love that you brought that up, because perception is reality, and I think a lot of women who are probably on that higher end of agreeableness and kindness spectrum are also going to be very conscientious. This is as a very conscientious. I'm high on the conscientious spectrum. And
the most conscientious person I've ever met, and I love her so much for it. It's a good thing.
Roger.
In an empowered way.
Very conscientious. And part of the downfall of that, or the thing that I have to navigate, is how to share, because in my mind I am kind of protecting you from the rawness of what's coming up for me. I need to distill this in a way that will land the way that I would want to receive it.
Well said.
And in my mind, it's a good intention. And the truth is, it's not always the most helpful in terms of creating conversation. So I will wait until I have distilled it in a way that you can hear and that I'm stable enough to have a conversation around.
And so for a man to shot score right here, right? If you're noticing your woman is closing off or, as Courtney says, percolating on something, and you're asking her and it's like she's saying things are fine, but you can feel something different. If I were a man in that situation wanting to help her open, I might say, I can just feel from you, and baby, I know you, I know something's up. You can tell me and I will hold space for it. I'm not going to react. You can give me, right? You can give me the raw and real. You can give me what feels vulnerable to share. I can hold it. Wide open.
Right.
That gives me goosebumps even hearing myself say it.
I mean, like,
the safety.
Yeah, friend to friend. My body's like soft. Okay,
yes.
What do you want to know?
So many women that I work with around relationship coaching is they're so afraid that the masculine person they're with will blow up. And that doesn't mean he's an explosive person. It just means that most women have had experiences where they have shared with a man and it's not been well received, or it's been turned around on them, or they have exploded. I'm not generalizing this to all men. I'm just saying if this happens once to a woman in her life, it's like burned in her body because the body keeps score. And so our bodies will try to protect us, and we start closing down our throats. And we swallow it, and then we start editing our words, and we end up just going, I'm fine.
Yep.
Because back here, there's so much conversation about how do I stay safe and feel heard all the time.
Oh, such a good point.
Yep. Right?
Yep.
So I was working with one of my clients that I work with them as a couple, and he was saying, I want her vulnerable parts. And I was like, then the ask for you is to create safety in her vulnerability and learn how to hold it, especially when it's about you. When she has a trigger coming up around you, the work is for you to be so sturdy and so grounded that she is like, this is my man and I can share anything with him. And I know that he can hold space and listen, even if he doesn't agree, because her feelings get to be validated even if you don't agree with them. This is also a big ask for men. It doesn't mean you think it's right. It means you hear her emotional experience. So this is a whole skill set that Courtney and I both work with men to help them develop, because it is if there were like 4 pillars holding up a relationship, I would call this a whole pillar, maybe even 2 pillars.
Yeah, it's significant.
And unfortunately, we live in a society that hasn't really nurtured this in a lot of men. And so there's an ask here that we're happy to support in if you choose to reach out to either of us for support in that. Yeah.
This reminds me, I just shared a post on Instagram yesterday, and it was saying, using logic to combat emotion is like bringing a calculator to a knife fight.
I saw this.
I died laughing because I was like, it's not that it's not a powerful tool. It's just not in that moment. It is not helpful.
It's not an applicable tool in that moment.
You're going to be, up a creek, because that is not a fair fight at that point.
She will feel dismissed.
Yeah.
If she says to you, I'm just really emotional about XYZ, and you're like, well, it's illogical. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You're overreacting. Shut down. She will shut down. There will be no more sharing. I mean, really, God, this is so important.
Yeah.
So.
And I love that you said that, because it's not, I've said in the past on the episodes that integrity and honesty and integrity, I'm using kind of synonymously in this way. Integrity is different as the feminine to the masculine. Masculine is overarching integrity, and the feminine is moment by moment integrity. Am I staying true to myself right now, or am I abandoning my truth? Whereas men have like a higher, like more continuous definition of
almost like principles that they're committed to.
Yeah.
Which feminine still has.
True. Yes. And we integrate both, but if we don't understand that they are different, women will feel like, I am trying to be honest. I'm trying to not blow up at you. And you're taking it as me being dishonest.
By holding it in. When I'm really trying to share this in an empowered way.
Yeah. So I love that men value honesty, because the way that they share honesty sometimes is very blunt and very like, oh, kind of like jarring
Stop
a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. So just a little something to be aware of. And I love that you said that.
So good. That's going to be a juicy TikTok clip.
Oh, yes. Bring it. And
Okay.
feel free, men, if there's something else nuanced with that, if there's a specific experience that you have about honesty, we're
Tell us.
open to a dialogue about it. Let us know how that lands for you so that we can create a way forward. Ooh, whoops. Sorry, just hit the mic. I just whacked.
So that we can create it.
So we can create a way forward together using both skills, using both of the best versions of ourselves.
I just have to tell you, this is the perfect example of conscientiousness. Because Courtney looked at me, and it's my responsibility to record the audio. Courtney looked at me like she was in such trouble. She was like, whoops. Like waiting for me to say it's fine. Oh gosh, that was so funny. Okay.
I thought I just added work. She's going to have to clip that out. We're not going to clip it out.
I'm going to leave it. It's
I love
hilarious.
that you do that. Yeah, I love that you just leave it raw.
I would
Cool.
rather have it.
Now number 4.
Number 4. Empathy and the word care for others.
And care. Yeah.
Empathy
care for
and care for others. Oh, I love this so much. Empathy is the ability to attune to what somebody else is feeling and kind of put yourself in their place and feel their feelings with them. So this is just a high degree of emotional intelligence. Not a high degree. It's a part of emotional intelligence.
Yeah. And part of this that I also kind of clumped together in the way that I saw it coming up was that there is the open-heartedness piece, but being able to see others and care for them. This included family, being accepted by your family, or her bringing you into her family. That really kind of fit in this category as well, and how she receives you. So there was kind of a split between this like tenderness and compassion and this empathy and being able to care for others that I distinguished, because to me it was how she's treating others versus how she's receiving others.
Interesting. Yeah, this heart-to-heart connection really is what it is. I love that.
Yeah, it was really, really beautiful. So if that were going to happen, what would you say? If you were a man in this situation, what would you...
How could I facilitate an environment
how can you support that?
that supports empathy and care for others? To support her being able to care for others, I would care for her. This is particularly relevant with mothers. If you are wanting to see her in all of her glory, caring for your children, for you, for your family, for her friends, the more that you can support her, the more fueled she'll be. So even asking her what would make you feel more supported, what would make you feel spoiled. Great key questions to ask the mothers in your lives. And then can you do those things? So she might say, I would feel really supported if you could take the trash out and manage the dishes. That's going to open up space in her body to be able to give more to other people. Yeah, so if you want her to pour into people around her, which you can't control, she's her own individual, but you can facilitate an environment where she feels like she has something to give. So a lot of women, because we are so conscientious, we can tend to burn out caring for everybody else. And actually, a lot of the time, the ask for women is to learn boundaries and equal energy exchange, or we just keep giving because we value love and connection so much. It's not to say that men don't value love and connection. I'm just talking about women in this moment.
Our personal experience with learning this.
100%.
Yeah.
Because of course men value love and connection. But we do see women kind of like, in our work, both of us see women spreading thin to try to meet everyone's needs. So a man who can lean in and support her and pour into her, chef's kiss.
Boom. Yeah, I love that.
There you go.
One other kind of facet to this that I saw and kind of clumped in this as well is that this is what's going to be coming to you, men. Because as women, kind of like men are honorable, like they're going to be honorable whether they're happy with you or not at this moment. They're not going to,
that is impressive.
That is, by and large, that is an impressive
Shocking,
quality.
stark difference.
Right. But I do think that this is the same. This is kind of like the, the same side of the coin, or the opposite side of the same coin,
Yeah.
is that women are nurturing and empathetic back to you when this is being met. They can't help it. That is like a innate push to, or kind of like a principled understanding that we want to be nurturing. We're trying to be nurturing. It's just we may run out of steam.
It's in our nature. Mm-hmm. Yeah, factory setting.
Yep, exactly. So I would kind of, in my mind, qualify this almost as if as men do honorability or honor, a sense of duty, and like this is how this is going to go because it's the right thing to do. Women who are open-hearted and in their feminine energy are naturally more available to nurture you as well. And a lot of men did say that they want a soft space emotionally to be received, and that's why I mentioned the tenderness and compassion piece, because they want to feel emotionally safe and received.
Yeah.
And nurturing is a very masculine quality, very masculine energy quality. So she will burn out. It's like there's only so much fuel in that tank, and if you need more of it, you have to keep refilling the tank too.
Genius.
Yeah.
If you want more fuel for her to give and care for others, and you refuel the tank. And she knows better than Courtney or I would know what fills that tank for her. For some women, it's words and appreciation. For other women, it's service. For other women, it's touch. For some women, it's sex. For some women, it's alone time. You've got to, privacy. Ask her, what would make you feel supported? What could I do to make you feel supported? What would make you feel spoiled? Boom.
Yeah. And ladies, permission to
Tell
vocalize
us.
this. Vocalize this to your man. Because I needed that permission. Like, men want to know this? Yes.
They want to know how to win.
They want to know. That was one of the other things that I didn't list in here. I'm just giving it all away. I'm not disciplining myself very well, but they want to know what you need. They want to know what you need, and they want it to be in clear, actionable, non-critical terms.
Yeah. You were saying earlier you have a partner who's just genius at that.
Yeah.
Shout out
Shout
Courtney's
out.
boyfriend.
Yep. He's really, really good at that.
EM. Number
EM for the
5.
win. Yeah. Where are we? Oh, this one's a fun one. Go for it.
Playfulness.
Yeah.
How great. Playfulness naturally comes out in the feminine energy when she's supported. I mean, it just is what it is. Like, when a woman can soften and relax and feel safe, you're gonna get this playful, happy, giddy side of her.
Yeah.
And it feels straightforward to me.
Yeah. This also clumped in an innate happiness, like positive outlook on life, feeling joyful and exuberant and effervescent and bubbly. And that's naturally going to kind of overflow the more supported she feels. If you think about, like, I always tell my clients, like, that hierarchy of needs. This is like, these top few pieces of that pyramid have to be filled in for her. I mean, obviously, assuming that the bottom ones are sturdy enough to support that. So that would be the ask, is to kind of see what needs are needing to be supported to build that even higher. Because this also takes into account her ability to be, go with the flow was a common language around this, a sense of humor, not taking herself so seriously. She's going to be taking herself real seriously if these bottom layers of that hierarchy are not being, like, solidly met. If she can't lean on those, in my experience, I'll be in survival energy too much to even think of laughing at things or
your
play.
resources have gone to survival mode.
Yeah. So it's a very integrated energy to give off that playful, bubbly.
You're at the peak of the pyramid. Your needs have been met. The other, was there more you were going to say?
No.
The other thing is, can you facilitate some playfulness? Like, I dated somebody once who I came home and all the lights were off and there were Nerf guns. It was so fun. And this is something that happened many times because I got really into it. And also, we would prank each other all the time. And I loved this. It was like this invitation to just not take life too seriously and to kind of tease each other and have fun. And that was a side of me that wouldn't have naturally, I mean, I'm quite funny.
I was going to say, you really embody the playful sense of humor, that part of feminine energy. That's why I tossed this one to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I love playfulness. It's in me. However, if I'm dating somebody that's very serious, it like doesn't quite come out. But if I'm dating someone who is very playful, she lets her freak flag fly.
Yeah.
Not really. She lets her playfulness flag. You want to play? I can play. Who can play harder? I can play too. Right? And so we started going back and forth with facilitating this with like games and pranks and hiding things. And it was so much fun.
I love
So nurture it. Do some. Hide the Nerf guns. See what happens.
I love that because it's a vulnerable experience to play.
Make her a scavenger hunt. I love that stuff.
Oh, yes.
I love a little playfulness.
Yes. I'm just thinking the things that shift me out of work mode and into play mode
What a gift.
are, they're kind of intentional. Like my boyfriend will either like surprise me with something or be like, hey, you know what? Let's do this for dinner instead.
Yeah.
And it just causes me, it's like, okay, I'm propping you up over here so that we can go play. Let's go play.
Yeah.
So
You could do all kinds of stuff. You could come in with a mask on your face. That would easily break a woman out of her work mode. Unless it's poorly timed and she was like in hunter mode. That would not be good.
Yeah.
I've also seen those fail. So learn how to read your woman, actually. This is a great disclaimer.
Great disclaimer.
Because once with this playful person who I adore, came over unannounced and was trying to be playful, and I was in straight up masculine boss babe mode, and it did not land.
Yeah. Yep.
It did not land, and I felt annoyed with myself because I was like in such flow, and I wanted to be playful, but I wanted to get my shit done, and it couldn't be received. So also notice what the moment is asking for.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's a great way to say that.
Yeah. Learn your woman.
Yeah.
All right.
I love that.
Number 6. Shall we do one more?
Yes.
And then maybe a part 2.
I think we're going to have to do a part 2 because
Yeah.
this is
Getting
meaty.
extensive.
Yeah. Ooh, this was a good one. You want to take it? You want me to take it?
Grounded, mature.
This was a major green flag for empowered feminine women. And it also encompasses maturity. There were so many comments that said a woman who's able to have a hard conversation and not go what we call wounded, like, you hate me.
Project, make it about you.
You're abandoning me. We're dying. Really catastrophic level, to be grounded and in that moment. And just to be able to have some depth, to have some roots and groundedness and depth to the conversation. Men can feel this, ladies. And this is your gift to the world.
You've got the depth.
This is, in terms of like relational context, he is the like propulsion, the horizontal, and you are the connection from like divine all the way to the earth. Like you are that space that he needs, and together we can create this like really great experience with each other. And so I loved that was one of them that came up over and over again, and I can tell the men who were asking for that were also very integrated men who want to have these deeper conversations and are wanting to have more emotional connection and have from what I gathered, a lot of emotional awareness, and are wanting to give that to you.
I love that. When I read, what was it exactly? Groundedness and maturity.
Level-headedness, that was another kind of nuance.
Yeah. We, I think we put this in our green flags in women. Like Courtney and I made an episode about knowing what we know, having been women our whole lives, right? And integrated. Here are green flags that we know as women. I would see in another woman and recommend my male friends to date her, right? Green flags that we notice. And it was the difference between emotionality and emotionality with groundedness, right? So we discerned this in that episode, and I would recommend you go back and listen to it. I think it's called Green Flags in Women.
Yeah.
But essentially it's this principle. Part of what Courtney and I say is the pillar for earning your crown is learning how to be with your emotions and be grounded in them and not let them spew all over and take over you, and you project and you can't hear anything else. It's all this other person's fault. Like there's not groundedness and maturity with your emotions. And so a green flag I look for in women is, can they feel their emotions, open to them, and stay grounded, be accountable for what's theirs, notice what's the other person's. And if you can't, can you be committed to the process of untangling what's yours and what's someone else's? Because it can take time.
Yes.
But there's a level of maturity, responsibility, integrity, truth-seeking with their emotions. That is what takes the woman from like princess to queen in my experience. And just think about the nature of like when you see a princess portrayed, she's usually like in Disney movies, it's like bratty, ungrounded, I want it and I want it now energy, versus the queen is like quite distinguished and wise. That's the energy you bring when you have emotional maturity.
And make no mistake, men feel this.
Yeah.
They can feel this.
Yeah, because the princess energy feels like drama. Empowered feminine feels like I have wants and needs and feelings, and I value them. I back myself with this. I get to take up space. What would you need from me in order to make these things happen? How can we collaborate? It's really different energy. You probably feel it from the woman that you're with, your friends. You can just discern with your friends who's grounded and who's spewing, you know?
Yeah. And who's not aware of the spewing. I always feel like awareness is like the first layer of resolving this. So I loved that was one that a lot of men are asking for, because the connectability for a woman has to be from a space of being grounded. So again, like to be able to open your heart and experience that full range of emotions while staying in your body and keeping it in your body and not like
Yeah. And when Courtney and I coach women, that ask is for her to integrate her own empowered masculine energy.
I love that you said that. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I feel like you're the empowered masculine energy in women queen. Elaborate just a bit?
No, go for it. You teach that too.
When we don't have empowered masculine energy internally as women, we're in our wounded feminine, which is flighty, non-committal, all over the place, spewing. This is the drama that you're noticing with emotions, is because these women are mostly in their wounded. Everybody has wounds. It's not to categorize someone black and white, but if they're mostly in their wounded energy, the ask is for them to integrate their empowered masculine energy to support them. So it's her self-talk shifting to, how can I support you? I'm noticing we're feeling a lot of things. How can we process this together? How can we honor this together? It's a whole process that Courtney has programs on, I have programs on, but that is the ask for a woman to integrate masculine and feminine.
Yes. And that actually kind of reminds me of what you said before we started recording of men. The words that men chose are to bring more to the middle.
Yes.
But you men, from our stance, our kind of paradigm is that you're asking for more integration of that empowered masculine, integrated, healthy masculine energy that you as a partner bring. So we always say in our favorite episode about the nuanced boundaries for women.
Oh yeah, like how to be
number
so
12.
Empowered. I love that.
That's my favorite episode.
Most
Ladies,
underrated episode.
It really is. But we do talk about that you want your partner to have the qualities that you are actively cultivating in yourself.
Yes.
It would be kind of like wasted energy for me to be the only one bringing integrity. That's a value of mine. I'm invested in that. I can't be with someone that doesn't also value that.
Right.
Growth, humor, whatever the value is, emotional intelligence. You want the reciprocal in a partnership. And so that means that women have an opportunity to empower their own masculine energy to prop themselves up so that you can open your heart more. That's the gift, is that you are the one that's taking the emotions and grounding them. And that process is what men are wanting. It's not that they don't want the emotions. They want them. They want like full embodied emotions.
And sometimes, did I cut you off?
No, I realized I could go 1,000 different ways with
forever.
this. Yeah, go for it.
When women are pausing when something's wrong and you think they're being dishonest, that woman might be putting her crown on going, what's happening?
Yes.
I'm feeling things.
Yeah.
And I want to approach it in a grounded way.
Good call.
How do I share this in a grounded way? At least for me, that is always what's going on.
Yep, 100%.
What part of this is mine? Is this his? Am I triggered? Is this old stuff? Is this new stuff? I'm trying to be the best partner I can without spewing.
Yeah, so that I'm not reactive.
Right. However, the more safety I would have with a partner, the more likely I would be to parse it out with them in the moment.
Great point.
The more that I trust him, that he can be that like rooted, strong, hold space. I've got your back. I can handle anything you share, I promise. I'm not going to react. I would definitely be more apt to share in the moment.
Yeah. Yes, because it is a vulnerable process.
Totally.
And yeah, having done personal work, we're kind of trained to do that ourselves and then bring it. And And if men don't know that, it can maybe be misconstrued. So
Yeah.
that's an interesting point. I love.
And when you make an ask for her to share it in the vulnerable, messy part, just know how to hold it. Because if you don't know how to hold it, then that experience will register in her body, and it will be harder for her to open again in that raw space. So, yeah. That's why emotional intelligence is my favorite, most impressive quality about men.
I love that.
I think we should save the rest for another
agree.
episode.
I agree.
Cool.
This was so fun.
So good.
So obviously work for both sides to keep integrating. And I love that. Men get to integrate more of the emotional intelligence piece. Women get to bring more of that sturdiness and that self-reliance and ability to hold themselves at the same time, so that we can meet in the middle as the most integrated and healthy version of ourselves. And then create something really amazing together.
And you really learn from each other. Like, women could look to men for that sturdiness in her partner and how to nurture it in herself, and he can look to her for that emotional intelligence and how to foster it within himself.
Yes. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. Because the things you are attracted to in your partner are the areas that you value, whether they're sturdy and nurtured in yourself and cultivated in yourself to the degree that you see the other person. They're still within you.
Yeah.
They're there.
100%.
They're there. So, I love that you said that.
So good.
Anything else?
If you want to work with Courtney and I together, June 30th,
Yep.
we are hosting a group coaching call for up to 20 people in 90 minutes. And you come with your questions, with your context, with the background. You'll submit your questions before, and then we will meet on Zoom, and you'll get coaching from both Courtney and I on your specific situation, which is going to be so juicy.
So exciting.
And it's new for us, so we've cut the price in half, and we don't know what the turnout will be. So there might not be 20 people, in which case you would get a lot more
pretty individualized attention.
Yeah, not that we can guarantee it, but I mean,
this is like the time to get in. If you want
yes,
the highest level of attention, this would be the time.
Right. And so we've cut the price in half. It's normally $199. It's just $99 to get in to that coaching call, especially if you're someone who's like, I want to dip my feet into coaching, but I'm not ready to high level invest or commit. What is it like to work with these people? This is a great space to start. So there's a link in the show notes for you to sign up for that. And if you want more from Courtney, my beautiful, wonderful, talented, empowered, feminine queen of a friend, you can't date her because she's already dating an EM, but you can work with her. Sorry.
Thank you.
Where do they find you?
Oh my gosh, what a hype girl.
You can't be her best friend because
that space is filled too. So client friend, that's really the
just
only
kidding. She can have lots of friends. I'm not possessive.
the only available space. No, all my stuff's on CourtneyShand.com, all the ways to work with me. I've got some free resources there. I try to keep the resources flowing on my website. Same thing on Instagram. Courtney_Shand on Instagram and TikTok. I've started building my own little TikTok page too.
Killing it.
Thank you. But really, I think most of my stuff would either be on my website or on Instagram.
So great.
Yeah.
Similar for me. I'm on buildingbrie.com, BRI, and Building Brie on Instagram, where I hang out all the time on Instagram story. Give a lot of free value there.
Yeah, you're really good at that.
I have a personal podcast called Manifestation Queen Radio. For now, I think I'm going to change the name.
Interesting.
Yeah, but you can search that for now or look in the show notes. And what else? I've got one-to-one coaching spots open. I've got one-time 90-minute calls open. If you want to jump on those, I'll put the link in the show notes. I'm sure Courtney has a similar offer that she can put in there as well.
Yep, I do.
Cool.
Intensive sessions, one-on-one work.
Yes.
My Rise program.
Yeah, also a great way to just start.
To get started.
But just feel free to message us too if you're like drawn to someone's energy and you want to work with them. Just say that. I'm drawn to your energy. I want to work with you. What's a good fit for me? Here's where I'm at. I'm down to have those. I would prefer to have those conversations.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed. Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely not too much to put that on my schedule and find a good fit for you.
Not at all.
Yeah.
If
Perfect.
you love the show, share it.
Yeah.
No pressure, but
But
please share it.
We do appreciate it. And let us know. Let us know that you're listening.
Yeah.
Send us put it on your story. Put it on your...
Tag us on Instagram
I think
story.
that's what I was trying to say. Tag
Put
us.
it on your...
Put it somewhere.
She looked at me like, what do they put it on,
What
Brie?
I'm done. My words are just choppy
I'm not
now.
done. Do you know what else would be really nice? Some positive TikTok comments.
Oh.
We get lots of likes and shares and all the things, but if you like it, if you could just like comment the hearts or what resonated with you or just well said or hoorah, whatever feels natural to you, if you could comment that would be great. We really appreciate that. It helps our videos get out to more people. And also, Courtney and I live for your feedback like this. We just love it. We just
dance
earlier
around.
today screenshotted me something someone shared about them loving the podcast. So
Yeah, it just means a lot.
it really does. It's very touching.
Yes.
Okay. We love you.
Yeah.
See you next episode.